Welcome to the HR Data Labs podcast, now part of the Work Defined Podcast Network. Join us as we explore the vital role of compensation, strategy, data, and people analytics in navigating today's complex business world. With the resources of Work Defined, we're bringing you deeper insights and actionable ideas from top HR experts. Now, here are your hosts, David Turetsky and Dwight Brown. Hello and welcome to the HR Data Labs podcast. We are your hosts, David Turetsky and Dwight Brown. Dwight, how are you?
I am good. How are you doing, David?
I'm tired. We're actually recording this rather late in the evening for us. What part of the world are you in right now?
I am currently in Dallas, Texas. I just landed an hour and a half ago.
So you're Central Time.
Yeah, I'm Central Time right now.
Okay, so it's 8:30 your time now.
Right. Yep.
So it's closer to me.
But my body's still on Phoenix time, so it's going to be real fun waking up for that presentation early tomorrow morning.
Well, you're already dressed for it. So what are you going to do? You're just going to go to sleep in your suit and
no, I gotta put my pink shirt on because they're doing some Susan G. Komen picture or something at the courthouse.
Oh,
when I get there, and so they said wear pink if you can. I don't get to be a part of the picture. I just have to.
You have to fall in line.
Yeah, exactly. Toe the party line.
Now, what you could do is, if you don't have a pink shirt, you could bleed all over your shirt and then clean it in the sink.
And hope it dries by tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
actually, believe it or not, I do have. It depends what angle you look at it. From some angles, it looks like a very light purple. And from some angles, it can look pink. So that's going to have to pass.
What time is the meeting?
8:00. I got to be there.
Yeah. So you're not going out to a store tomorrow morning to get one.
No.
Anyways, well, we all know where you're going to be tomorrow. We just don't know what day that is. So.
Right. Yeah.
So if all the fans want to go see you in Dallas, Texas, they won't be able to get there.
I'll have to broadcast for the groupies the next place I'll be.
Yeah, you could do that for Facebook,
which these days is getting pretty dangerous, I think.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. There are some very scary groupies out there.
Yes, exactly. Groupies you don't want.
They're sending us abacuses and they're sending us other data stuff. Calculators. Old calculators.
That's scary to us. Yeah.
So as we normally do, we do one fun thing that no one knows about you. We're going to do that for the podcast because we're coming up on episode 250, which won't be this one. This will be 249. So the next one after this one will be 250. How about that, Dwight? 250 episodes.
250 episodes. It's crazy. And it's, every time we look back, I think about where we've been, where we are.
Yeah.
When we first started recording.
Yeah.
All the changes that we've been through as a podcast and
all the changes the world has been through.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's crazy.
I know this sounds weird because it's not been 10 years, or 8 years, but we've now seen 2 Trump administrations, a Biden administration between that.
Yeah. I think it was the first episode I ever recorded with you. I think I was technically a guest on that episode.
You were. And I think you were in Colombia.
I was in Colombia and there were violent protests happening outside my apartment. And now, fast forward to now, the Colombian president, his visa has been revoked.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Trump revoked his visa because he said something against Trump. So you know how that works.
I do. But we're not going to say anything against Trump on this podcast today because we don't want to get our
passport. Yeah, exactly.
Going to have the stamp of no political conversation today.
We try to maintain that usually.
We try.
We do a pretty good job.
Failures all the way around, but we try.
Yeah, it's all about the effort.
Yeah, well, it's at least a college try.
Right.
More so than Penn State put in this past week, but I shouldn't do that because everybody knows I'm a Penn Stater, and it really hurt me this past weekend because we lost it. Anyways, so today we're going to have a fun conversation, one that we've talked about several times in the past, but it's going to be a short episode. But we wanted to give you kind of a little bit of something that was on our mind about the topic for today being poor data and its impact on HR today.
Welcome to The Human Role, your go-to podcast where HR and payroll collide with innovation. I'm your host, Tiana Neal, and every month I'm diving deep with industry experts and change makers, bringing you real talk insights, practical tips, and fresh takes you won't hear anywhere else. Whether you're a leader, practitioner, or just curious about the latest HR and payroll trends, I've got you covered. Ready to roll with the best? Tune in for fresh perspectives, actionable tips, and the knowledge you need to roll forward with confidence. Subscribe now and let's transform the way you work.
The first thing we want to talk about data, I mean, we've had this conversation before. You're a data governance god. And I think one of the conversations that we had really early on in the podcast when you joined was around data governance.
Yeah. I think the very first one was around data governance.
More than 4 years ago. And so one of the things that we talked about early on is bad data leads to bad measurement and bad outcomes, which is still true today.
Right.
But what sets it apart today is so many things beyond the people analytics we were talking about many, many years ago. But so many things rely on the data that we use, that we live in, kind of that Calgon kind of conversation of, yes, your fingers are in it. We can't escape that. It surrounds us.
Right.
But we're going to break this episode down into basically three parts. One, which is the recruiting angle on data. The second we're going to talk about is the artificial intelligence angle, because we cannot escape artificial intelligence in any podcast we do in the HR Data Labs podcast.
Yeah.
And the third we're going to talk about is pay transparency. So let's start with the recruiting side of this. We've talked about this many times in the past, that the peculiarities around the world of recruiting, how it all works. Recruiting is most of the time, it almost is always the first place where someone's putting their data in to an organization.
Yeah.
And that means tremendous failure potential on the data being correct.
It's the first ingress of data within an organization, and it's probably the least well-tended, I guess you could say. Because a lot of times these ATSs don't necessarily lock down fields. And so that's kind of the starting point with the bad data. And they sure don't go back and clean the data, because it's a numbers game these days. I mean, it's...
You mean volume? Yeah.
Volume, yeah. Totally a matter of volume. And they're just happy when they get the fill and they can get that rec off their desk. And so it's kind of a comedy of errors in my mind, because you start with ungoverned data. You start with not cleaning the crap that is amassed in your system. And nobody really, I think a lot of times they don't even know where to start with it. They don't even think about what some of the impact of that is, what the downstream impact is. And I think more organizations would probably do more about that if they had a good feeling for what that impact is.
Well, I think there's actually even more challenges than that. I see it as there's the barbarians at the gate. There's the people who have nefarious intent trying to get into an organization, who fake some of that data. And obviously there is some people do the, not just reference checks, but they also do some of the background checks on people. But a background check takes a while, and sometimes it doesn't come in time to have someone start. But I mean, so that's kind of thinking about things glass half empty, right? But also to your point, there really aren't any guards on that front door of that data coming from the ATS into the HRIT and subsequently going into, the HRIS, and then subsequently going into your payroll system. And, that could be a nightmare.
Yeah, the downstream impacts are, you start to, if you process map this thing out, I think it gets scary after about step 2 or 3.
Oh, yeah.
and it's easy for organizations to say, there's no way we can control that. And to a certain extent, they may be right.
They may be.
The people resources needed to be able to really check that stuff and do something about it is pretty phenomenal.
You could also think of that as being a potential for a bot, right? To do the checking and to make sure that that person is who they say they are. And also there are no other records that might lead you to believe that person has employment elsewhere.
Right.
So,
we've definitely seen that.
AI agent right there for recruiting.
Yeah, exactly. The dual job people.
Yes.
Sometimes 3 or 4 jobs.
Exactly. I think there's another angle on this that I didn't think about, but it just came to my mind, Dwight, which is the company side of this. Having the bad data come not just from the candidate, but also coming from the corporate side. So whether you're creating a new job, whether the job description's out of date, whether the FLSA is right or wrong, any of that side could cause you agita, where, you're hiring someone, there's a lot of stress on that. The rec got approved, but is all the data that goes into that rec accurate?
Yeah. And if it's not, do you have guardrails in place to identify that and do something about it?
Right. Are we talking about another agent?
I think we are. There's so many agents we could build around this.
Well, now that we've thought about that process, now we're probably going to get out of control with this and start.
Right.
People are like, "Hey,
we're circling the drain right now on this one."
So maybe we have to go to the second one, because that'll take us out of this. Maybe it's swirling the bowl.
It's going to get it deeper in. It's going to get us deeper in.
Enjoying the conversation? Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode packed with insights and strategies. Now, let's dive back in. Let's go to our second part, which is talking about artificial intelligence and recruiting. I was reading something on LinkedIn today about someone who tried to get a job at a supermarket chain. And they had a ton of experience in the supermarket world. But the issue was that they had an AI agent or an AI video interview. In the AI video interview, even though this person knew what the hell they were talking about, it basically denied her.
Poorly trained AI.
The general manager who met the person said, "I'd hire you, but I can't do anything about it because the AI told me I can't hire you."
What?
Exactly. Now, the person has a lot of experience, probably too much for the role she tried to get. And there was this whole string of comments on LinkedIn about ageism as being one of the areas of concern, because if you're older, you won't get jobs because they say you're overqualified. Well, overqualified is a baloney assertion, certainly to me. Because if I want to take a less stressful job, and it's in the thing I've been doing for 35 years, let me do the less stressful job that I can do in my sleep.
Exactly. Let me decide whether or not I'm overqualified for it, and who cares? Like you said, if I want to take a less stressful job, let me.
Well,
but to not. Sorry, I'm going off on this one.
No, go ahead. You can go off. Go ahead.
No, I don't know. It just pisses me off because not only, so ageism aside, just from the standpoint of stupidity of processes, it's asinine. It's asinine. What? It is. It's so counterintuitive. It's so BS. What?
Right.
Sorry, the AI said that I couldn't hire you?
Yeah.
What kind of company does that? the kind of company you don't want to work for, apparently.
But that's the thing, though, and I don't know when the last time was you tried to get a job, but you know what I mean. You can't get an interview until you pass through these filters, and these filters are passing people over because they're old,
right?
And I think my problem is we need to train the artificial intelligence to see beyond that, to see the capability in people. The bubble is, especially the demographic bubble we're talking about right now.
Yeah, I mean, look at it, everything that's happening with the government jobs right now. We're going to see a whole influx of people who have been at their jobs for 25, 30 years there.
Exactly.
They're in our demographic and older. And yeah.
As the demographic bubble for Gen X gets larger, companies can't ignore this anymore. They have to take it on. And that means they have to start training their artificial intelligence to not filter out all of us grays.
Right.
And again, it isn't a personal thing. I'm not looking for a job. I love my job.
It's just, I mean, you hear more and more about people. Well, my brother, my oldest brother is 60 years old. He got laid off from his job 2 years ago, and he's still looking for a job.
Really? That long?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Now, can I say that he's always put 100% into looking for a job? But the effort that he has put into it.
It's a combination of two things. It's a combination of we have to train the artificial intelligence to look at these candidates on their merits and not on the other variables like age. And especially if it's things like the video AI interview, that's where I think the data comes in, and we have to ask the AI to ignore certain things. Or it needs to do discrimination testing on race, ethnicity, as well as age.
And I mean, this definitely gets to one of the biggest topics in AI out there right now is the topic of bias. And this is a great example of that.
Exactly.
And these are things that I think we're so early on in the AI saga that people don't even know to look for it. I think it's one of those things that you identify the issues after you've run into it and hope that somebody can recognize it and say, hey, this is happening. We see this happening. All right, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to train the models? How are we going to get it to filter past the age of the person that's coming across the video?
Well, and if they don't fix it on the front end, they're going to get lawsuits on the back end. And then they're going to have to fix it. And fixing it is going to cost them a ton of money. I mean, we already seen that some of the lawsuits that came out around the AI use in recruiting as well.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes that's the only thing that's going to get action, though.
Yeah.
Because as long as you don't have consequences, I mean, you're going to have companies out there. I mean, you're definitely going to have companies out there that want to do the right thing, and they're the ones who are going to be doing something about it. But you're also going to have a contingent of companies out there that, they're going to bury their head in the sand. And, as soon as they get slapped with that $15 million ageism lawsuit, that's their call to action.
Right. Right. Well, we said the same thing about pay equity, right? That people are putting their head in the sand on pay equity. The lawsuits have happened, but I don't know if they've necessarily been that painful or that dramatic that have caused any change in behavior.
No, I agree with you. And now in the current environment, with that particular piece, we're not going to see any forward movement.
But we're not going to get political today.
No, I don't mean it as a political statement. I mean it as an environmental statement.
Exactly.
This is what we are in the middle of right now.
Right.
Regardless of what side of the aisle you sit on, it's just the fact of where we are.
Absolutely.
Hopefully there are enough of the good companies out there who will recognize and see it for what it is, that they're losing a great part of their potential workforce by not doing something about it.
And potentially pissing off a whole bunch of consumers who hear that that's happening.
Right.
and react to it.
Exactly.
So the next thing we have to talk about, Dwight, is pay transparency and its impact on this data.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I was going to kind of bring up first on this is that pay transparency isn't about telling everybody, and let's just level set here. We're not talking about sharing everybody's pay. We're not talking about sunshine laws that affect public companies or privately held companies or publicly held from a stock market perspective. We're talking about pay transparency as it relates to the laws, where there are laws in I think it's in 15 states right now that companies have to disclose their pay ranges so that candidates can understand what's the starting rates for the job I'm going to be applying for, instead of waiting until halfway through or the end of the process to say, oh, I don't want that job. That's paying me way too little.
Mm-hmm.
Or getting special deals because you think you can.
Right. And it's a part of pay equity, too.
Absolutely. Well, it's doing the right thing, right? It's giving everybody a level playing field to compete for jobs at the right wage. But in the context of the data, what we're talking about is that the disclosures are talking about salary ranges. Typically, when we consult with companies, I'm telling them to not post their entire range, just the more relevant range, depending upon the years of experience for the job. Mm-hmm. And then when they're disclosing, like if you're in California or you're in Illinois, you got to keep records on all this stuff. Mm-hmm. So there's some public disclosure where you have to tell the state, how you've been hiring and how you've been disclosing. And then there's the Illinois where you have to keep all these records for a long time. Hopefully they've changed their data governance strategy to not just hold on to the employee records and the job records, but hopefully to hold on to all those salary structures and all those grade ranges as well. Because that's not typical.
Right. Yeah, movement that's taken place over the years. Yeah, exactly.
So that's my concern about the pay transparency side of this, is that we need to change our data governance strategy based on pay transparency, because you're probably going to need to go back and disclose a whole bunch of things to these governmental entities. Do you have that data? Are you holding on to it?
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like the IRS. You have to make sure that you A, keep good records, and B, you keep good records for a prescribed amount of time. And you're right, not a lot of companies, that's just not on the radar. It's more, that's the way we operate in comp. It's like, we're here to tell you what your ranges should be, not what they currently are.
Right.
The interesting part about this is it goes back to what you said at the beginning of the podcast, when you were talking about having agents and bots that help with some of this stuff. The data retention thing, that's not so much a bot sort of candidate necessarily, I guess. It's more, but it does help you keep the data clean, or you can have it help you keep the data clean. And for less sophisticated companies, it may help companies figure out how to do the data retention that they need to do.
Yeah.
So as much as we talk about the downsides of dirty data with AI, it's at the same time, it can help us clean the shop with it too.
I think those agents can also tell us where, depending upon the municipality, depending upon the state, who has the most stringent requirements.
Right.
And give us the ability to keep that data around to be able to withstand audit from those requirements.
Yeah.
We just came up with another bot.
We're going to make millions.
For salary.com, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Chris, so if you're listening to this, we have another 3 bots for you. And for those of you who don't know, we have salary.ai, which is actually building a lot of this stuff into the comp analyst system. Not that we're trying to sell you on it.
We got ideas out the wazoo, too.
Yes, we have tons, yeah. So, Hopefully they're listening to our podcast. Well, Dwight, I think we can call it a night on this because I think we've beaten this topic up a little bit. And I know we're going to be covering it again and again and again because it just keeps happening.
Right.
But, I think what we wanted to try and do is trying to highlight some of those really interesting things that are happening now around AI and around the data that are probably going to require us to do a little bit more examination of it.
Yeah, so much more to come on this one. This will be an interesting episode to look back at a year from now and see how our thinking has changed around it and what's been developed for products, all those kinds of things. So,
well, it's certainly going to happen. We're certainly going to talk about it in our recap podcast episode. But yeah, we should definitely revisit this in a year.
Yeah.
All right. So we have to reschedule this.
It's kind of like our 6-month prediction.
Yes, exactly.
Sort of deal.
Exactly. How did that?
Not quite.
How did that play out? Well, it was only going to be 2 months from now. So
that's right.
All right, Dwight. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Always great being with you.
That's what the best part about being together on this podcast. We get to talk all the time, and everybody has to listen to us. Or they don't have to, but it's really nice of them to.
They don't have to. It is. They're doing us a favor.
Exactly. Thank you all for listening. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you for listening to the HR Data Labs podcast. Don't forget to hit subscribe and share it with your network. Also, check out the HR Data Labs Brown Bag Lunch every Friday on LinkedIn. You can also check out the recordings on Spotify. Thank you, take care, and stay safe.